In our first major event of the year, Sport for Business hosted the Sporting Year Ahead 2021 in partnership with our friends at Teneo. We were joined by over 200 leading members of the Sport for Business community to hear from experts across the sport and business sectors in terms of what 2021 might hold. One of our guest speakers was Jonathan Hill, incoming CEO of the Football Association of Ireland.
Well, look, in the 10 weeks, I have very much tried to listen as much as I can do to people across the both the football community, the business community, and also, of course, with our other key stakeholders, including John Tracy in particular at Sport Ireland and the guys at the department within government. But we need to keep going as an organisation as well. So I very much got my hands dirty in relation to the fact that we have many things to do, and maybe we'll speak to a few of those in a second. But to your initial question, of course, I'm extraordinarily excited about the opportunity and about the challenge, and really humbled to have that opportunity in my career. But I've been working now nearly 30 years within the football world. 10 of those years were spent at the English FAI. So I think I have good experience in relation to how a football association works and how it sits within the wider football ecosystem, and have very good, strong relationships with both UEFA and FIFA. So yes, I want to put that experience hopefully into play in a very positive way for the overall association. But look, I said on the first day when I came into the association to the staff that there were three core things, and I always like to work in relation to three simple areas and elements so people understand what we try to do. And those three things were addressing the COVID situation and pandemic. And actually over the 10 weeks, that challenge hasn't changed, and if anything, it's become a greater challenge given what's happened since Christmas, if you like. The second thing is that I really wanted to understand the dynamics of the football space, and that's where that listening tour is so super important for me. So I'm listening to people not just within the organisation, but within our affiliates and out in the grassroots, as well as all of those stakeholders. And the third thing is continuing that process of business transformation. And the announcement yesterday was part of that, if you like. But we have a very clear pathway now in relation to addressing some of those historical governance issues that the organisation clearly had. But that pathway it has been set out. We have 164 recommendations that we continue to deliver against, and we're working very closely with Sport Ireland to make sure that we do that in the right way, in a sustainable way. Driving cultural change within the organisation, I believe, is super important. And I've talked about this before, and I've talked about it at the council and the AGM, and also to the staff. I want to create a culture within the organisation which I think will be reflective of a modern, progressive, inclusive, and broadly speaking, fit for purpose organisation. That is part of our overall mission, is to be a world-class sporting organisation moving forward. So clearly that's not going to happen overnight, but we have the building blocks in place to do that. And when all of that comes together, and perhaps specifically for this group, that will drive forward our commercial offering, if you like. And we know that we need to both drive revenues, we need to manage our cost base, as everyone needs to do. Incredibly complex in a COVID situation, if you like, but we need to be rigorous in both. And yesterday again was, as I say, was a good starting point in relation to us driving that commercial agenda, which is very high on my list. Yeah, we look forward to developing those conversations within the sponsorship and business community, if you like. But to do that, we have to make sure that the basics are right. And I'm looking very closely at that in relation to our overall positioning as both a sporting association and also as a business.
You mentioned the importance of culture and
Yep.
the fact that the commercial side of it is on the top of your list. Are you a list kind of a guy? Do you have a sort of a one, two, three that you want to really sort of get stuck into on each given day? And what would be the top of that list? What's the thing that as soon as you've finished chatting to us today that you're going to turn around and focus on?
Yeah, I'm reasonably detailed in my approach. I like to think that I'm fairly straightforward and honest in my approach as well when I'm speaking to people. I like to get quickly to the point. I'm from Yorkshire originally, so I'm reasonably straight talking, if you like, and I like to get to the heart of an issue as quickly as possible. Yeah, look, there's a number of things on top of that to-do list, and as I say, those three areas remain key. I think at the moment we're in this incredible situation whereby actually the core purpose of any sporting organisation, which is to develop and foster participation, if you like, across all levels of the game, is of course stymied by the pandemic. So the whole process and the planning behind both return to play and return to watch is critical in relation to what at heart we should be doing, which is to encourage and to drive participation and growth within the game itself. So obviously we're in an incredibly difficult position, but so are many other sporting organisations who I know representatives of them are on this call today. So it is a unique situation, but we're not in a unique situation in relation to some of our peers, if you like. But we need to be fully focused and prepared for the point at which, and fingers crossed, we can get back to a point whereby everyone is playing the sport again across all areas of the game, and people are being able to consume the sport. Because I know Martin is coming on, you're chatting to him, as you said, we haven't had people within Aviva Stadium for some time now. Some of our international underage teams haven't played any international football for 12, 15 months. And that's very much core to what we need to be planning against as we move forward. And look, I'm positive and I'm confident about the future, obviously in relation to the association, but also positive and confident that we can drive forward in relation to addressing the pandemic, and the vaccine clearly is going to be super important in relation to that. But there is a timetable that I think everyone can look to, both as businesses and as brands, and how we interact with all of our consumers. And we need to be fully prepared to be up and be back and running when we are allowed to be by government. So that's very much at the top of my list.
You mentioned participation as being
Yep.
key, and obviously the 100,000 plus players that are actually out there looking at kicking a ball on pitches up and down the country are an incredibly key element of what the FAI is all about. And yet the focus, whether it be through media, whether it be through public consumption, still does tend to focus on the big teams and the international team. Do you see part of your role as being to slightly rebalance that, so that the ordinary football community out there actually has more of a say, more of a contribution, and more of a take from the FAI than would be the case, say, for example, with just the 11 that will turn out for the senior men's or the senior women's national team?
Yeah, sure. Look, the key word there, Rob, that you use is balance, and as so often in life, balance is critical in relation to how you approach your business. Look, number one, football is the biggest sport in the world, and I will say that, and I will repeatedly say that we are very lucky in relation to the size and quality and diversity of our audience. And when I'm talking to existing partners and potential partners moving forward, I won't shy away from making that point. We are very much top of the media's agenda, recognise that, and in many ways we are in a very lucky space to be able to say that. But as you say, it is not just about one specific part of the organisation. although I would accept that perhaps unfairly, the perception of an organisation is often related to the success or otherwise of its top international teams, both men and women, and therefore we will have a focus on that in making sure that both Stephen and Vera and the other underage teams are as well prepared as they can be when they come to play competitive matches. And clearly this year, which is a very unique year in relation to World Cup qualification, will focus a huge amount of attention across the board, from media, from the public, and that's absolutely right. But at the same time, yes, I absolutely want to serve our grassroots, because they are, as you say, a significant part of our customer base. And in the end, we're a service-led organisation, and we are there to serve all parts of the ecosystem, if you like, be it at grassroots level, be it a local club, be it the League of Ireland clubs, be it our elite player pathway. All of these have to have our full attention. But as I said, it needs to be done on a balanced basis. And hopefully I will do that, and I'll be able to do that. And I will, and I am listening to all parts of the ecosystem, if you like. We have very fundamental change happening at the moment. So by April, we will have hopefully a new General Assembly in place, which I think is a very democratic approach to the way in which the association is structured. And I want to build on that democracy, if you like, encourage the type of communication that perhaps historically hasn't been seen within the game, and make us at the centre as open, as accessible as we can be to all parts of the game, as you say. So it's the start of a journey in many ways in relation to the governance transformation that we're undertaking at the moment, which, by the way, we're doing because it's the right thing to do, not because government or Sport Ireland have said that X, Y, and Z has to happen for us to access funding, if you like. We know it's the right thing to do, and we have to live out and enact all of those governance reforms on a day-to-day basis. But I think that, as I say, I think we have the framework in place. We have the support of government. I think genuinely we have the support of the Irish public, who want to see a strong and confident and well-organised football organisation. And we have successful teams at international level, but as I say, right at the very heart of the association, we have people who enjoy the game in its very simplest form, in the way that they want to do. And I want to be able to deliver against what individuals want and against their ambitions as to what they want from football. But let's make sure we deliver it in the safest and best possible environments that we can do. So facility development is very much on my agenda as well, and talking to government in relation to that moving forward. But these are all goals of any football association, and what I want to do and make sure that the staff understand is what we must be doing is to deliver that in an organised, systematic, but very positive way.
One key element of delivery that you will probably be beaten up with over the course of the coming months is the delivery of a primary sponsor for the association. Our audience, this room, is filled with people who are responsible for sponsorship budgets. What do you feel in terms of a timetable, a best case and a backstop scenario, do you think, in terms of conversations that will be taking place about a replacement coming on board for 3?
Well, look, we need to be financially stable and as an organisation moving forward. So the commercial agenda is incredibly important for me. And as you know, Rob, I come from a commercial background, if you like, in relation to my history within the sport. Look, everything that I've said so far is part of that journey of persuading brands to become part of it, if you like. And our digital transformation process which we've started. We brought in an agency via UEFA to look to give us a whole digital review, an audit of where we currently stand, is part of that strategy moving forward. And look, one thing I do know is that we are in a very competitive space in relation to sponsorship. There are very many opportunities out there, and they present themselves in very different forms. We need to make sure that we are very flexible in relation to what our offering is, and we listen very carefully, obviously, to the objectives of the brands and the businesses that we're talking to. But we must make sure that our basics are right. So looking very closely at our digital output, the look and feel and the style and the tone of voice of our content, if you like, because I want people and I want brands to feel comfortable aligning themselves with our core content, if you like. So we need to be able to show that we are competitive, if you like, in that overall space. And we will work hard, for example, on making sure that digitally we have the addressable audience that I know that brands demand from partners now. And look, that part of my journey of understanding all of the constituent parts of the organization is to make sure that is structured in such a way, and how we present that to the commercial and business community is such that people see that we can support those broader business objectives, be they purpose driven, be they very specifically business driven, and that we have the assets that can help businesses develop in what we all know is an extraordinarily difficult time. And I don't think any of us can get away from the fact that we are in a difficult space. But as I said earlier, I think the timetable now means that people are looking very firmly to the future. And if anything has taught us in relation to the pandemic, I think that the importance of sport in people's lives, particularly for us, the importance of football within people's lives has been heightened, and we are reminded of that within a pandemic. And I genuinely believe that there is a pent-up emotion, if you like, to get back to doing and playing sport and watching sport and engaging with sport, that I hope that brands will want to align with, and that will be very much part of our narrative, be it across our international teams. As you say, we're looking for a national team sponsor at the moment. And frankly, there's actually no better time to be talking about our national teams, and certainly the senior men team, than in a World Cup qualification year, which arguably is the pinnacle of the footballing world. So we're very much looking forward to that campaign, and genuinely I believe that a brand aligning themselves with the campaign can tap into everything that you and the guys on the call know in relation to what happens when the excitement builds around a qualification process, and fingers crossed then qualification to the event in 2022. But look, as we saw yesterday, I also another thing on the list that you mentioned earlier is the development of the league and the leagues, and creating a new narrative around those leagues. I think is hugely important. And I know that SSE are very keen to join us in that journey across all three of the leagues that they're now sponsoring. So I think there's huge potential within the leagues. I certainly think there's huge potential within the Women's League. I think there's huge potential within the women's and girls game, full stop, and we'll be working hard to develop that. So yes, it's up to us. We need to be out there. We need to be engaging with brands directly. Although I'm very happy on the back of this call for people to, if we haven't been in touch with you, to get in touch with me, jonathan.hill@fai.ie. And because unless we're engaging, we won't learn as to what brands are looking for in relation to partnerships moving forward. But look, I remain absolutely convinced of the benefits and the positivity of aligning with sport. And I remain absolutely convinced that that football within sport is the #1 platform to align with.
That's great. Well, that's a very open invitation. No doubt there will be a couple of people that would be interested in that. I'm conscious of time. A couple of things coming in from the floor as well. FAI centenary year this year. You've spoken there about alignment and brand. Is there any possibility that you might consider a rebrand of the FAI, or have we moved on from that?
Look, I think we're looking very closely at the whole of our brand architecture, if you like. I don't think it is perfect at the moment, and we will review that in its totality. Obviously, the centenary year is a hugely exciting moment for us, and a time for us to be able to both reflect, but also to drive forward into a new era, if you like. So yes, that will be part of the overall review of the brand. But as I say, we're looking closely at the overall look and feel of the organisation from a brand perspective, the tone of voice of the organisation, and the type of content that underpins everything on a day-to-day basis. We have the benefit, of course, in terms of being football, of having a 365-day product, if you like. So we have to make sure that we exploit that as best we can do. But look, yes, 2021 is an incredibly important year for us. We are still absolutely committed to the delivery of 4 matches across Euro 2020, which of course is taking place this summer. And I definitely want the FAI and Irish football and the overall Irish people to put our best foot forward in relation to that. And that's a great kickstart to the centenary year that will run through to 2022 as well. So yes, it's a really important moment for us. It's a great hook for us in relation to overall communications activity.
Okay, are we confident that the Euro 2020 will continue ahead as planned? I know March is there on a sort of a loose horizon for when a full final decision can be made, but I guess you're planning.
Yeah, there's actually a date. I mean, the March the 5th is what UEFA are talking to all of the 12 cities about at the moment. And to be absolutely clear, they are committed to each of those 12 cities and to that concept. But look, it'd be foolish to say that there aren't challenges in relation to the concept that was created a number of years ago, pre-pandemic, if you like. So we here in Ireland will always follow government advice and the directives here from NEFET. We will need to work hard to make sure that we can deliver, fingers crossed, the maximum number of attendees into the stadium itself, which is something I know Martin would love to see. Yeah, UEFA have some big decisions to make, if you like, but clearly for UEFA, #1, they want to get the tournament away, which they will do, even if it has to happen behind closed doors. But I don't think that will be the case. But that's obviously from a commercial perspective extremely important in relation to the broadcast side of things. But they genuinely want, as we all want, to have as many people as possible in the stadia, because that's what creates the excitement and that unique feeling around any tournament. And we want to see that around Euro 2020. We want to see that in relation to our own World Cup qualification campaign. And fingers crossed, we can have 54,000 Irish fans in the Aviva Stadium driving us on against Portugal and driving us forward into qualification for the World Cup. That's what sport is about. That's what football is about. We want to have fans back into the stadium. So yes, that's an incredibly important moment for us moving forward.
Jonathan, thank you for taking the time out to be with us this morning, and for being very open and honest in terms of your answering of the questions.
It's the way I am, Rob, and I hopefully people will find that when I do have the chance to interact with people face to face. And genuinely, if anybody on this call does want to reach out, whilst I have had a very busy schedule in relation to Zoom calls and team calls, I do want to listen. I do want to learn. I do want to communicate openly, transparently, in a way that hopefully defines the organisation moving forward. We are here to engage not just with our own community, but also with the business community and with brands. And generally, I hope and believe that we can be partners with brands and businesses moving forward. So very happy to have those conversations. But thank you for the opportunity for allowing me to chat to you.
A pleasure, and hopefully we'll be able to do it in person at some point in the not too distant future. You have the hopes of the nation in your hands, Jonathan, not kind of pointing it. I've no doubt that that will not be too daunting to you. So, so the very best of luck in all the challenges that you face ahead. I see Pele in the background there.
Yeah, Pele and Muhammad Ali, actually. Yeah.
There we go. What a what a combination. There you go. The old ones too. Well, look, the very best of luck with it. And again, thanks very much for taking the time to be with us this morning. We will no doubt not be strangers over the course of the coming years. So thanks very much, Jonathan Hill from the FAI.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you very much indeed.